Alright, making a couple more of these spots for swatching. Just thought I would do this just for fun. Trying to get as many of these on one page as possible. I just realized I have a tool that lets me trace this, but that it's not a pencil or a pen, so I don't have to like keep drawing over it. But I don't feel like getting it right now. My mom bought it to me because she didn't know what it was, and I had forgotten I bought it. That's better. Gonna do a whole row, then I'm gonna quit, switch up to a different project that I need to finish. This is the shape that I'm going to use for most of my swatching. Not sure if I'm going to do all my swatching with this or different shapes, but I think I'll do different shapes because it'd be boring to see the same shape over and over. And I already got a few ideas in my head. Oops, that one was too close. Don't want to use that pencil eraser. This is like that carbon stuff you see on receipts. Pretty much like charcoal paper, I guess. I never really looked it up to see what it was made, you know, if it was actual charcoal. But I don't know, if you look it up, it says carbon paper. And I was like, well, if you can make images with receipt, you should be able to do the same thing with this for drawing. Oops. Did that do a good job of tracing this? Just for the record, guys, I've been out busy pretty much all day. And really my body is fatigued and wants to go to sleep. But I really had to do some art before I went to sleep. Even if I'm just tracing over an image, preparing it for another day for me to do art. You know what, I should do some of them in like something like that on a different page, swatching page. This one could be all hearts. Now I got too big a gap, oh well. This one could be all hearts. With wings. The other page could be like these potion bottles, Amana bottles. If you play video games, you know what the Amana or potion bottles are. And then probably do some flowers and butterflies, different shapes. I don't know. I'm gonna try to squeeze one more on here. It worked. Now, I'm doing this close together because my first swatching is kind of a lot of markers. And they're definitely going to fill up this page. start this one off. Gonna switch up to my other project because I wasn't planning on doing this whole swatching page, you know, on camera. It'll get boring after a little bit. Alright, switch projects. Then on some of this carbon, charcoal, or whatever it is. Not that it matters because it is a swatching page. I would probably still use this if I want to transfer a drawing, but I would make like the main subject was transferred and not the whole drawing because it's well, unless it's gonna paint over it. I guess it don't matter if you're gonna put color over it. Here's your savings. That gets over here. Work a little bit on this tree because the tree was kind of daunting in my head because it's mostly going to be browns and grays. Try a cool gray. See, I can remember what brown it was. And this is why you swatch and write down. Like have a little notebook. I think I'm gonna make a personal DIY notebook where I swatch what I'm using in my papers because I don't want it on my masterpiece. Like, what if I decide to sell this? I had a page that I was doing like little markings with. I'll just use this. That looks like the same brown. Alright. Here we go. Not doing too bad. As it dries, to me it looks more like the color. I'm pretty sure that's the one. Sure it's burnt orange. Chestnut brown. I'm gonna go with what I got because it looks like to me that this I have the right. Now, there's going to be lines and stuff, but that's fine because I'm going to use a color pencil to smooth out these lines. And it might even lighten it up more to what I'm thinking in my head. It should look like if this is glowing light. Try to trace everything out. This is not made to be done like a coloring page, so I'm not using black liner. It's kind of made to be more just like a painting, which people usually don't use black liner for painting. I have learned and researched that usually you don't want to use watercolor paper. This is more like paper than the watercolor paper that I have, multimedia paper, because it sucks the ink out of your markers. Now if you are going to have refillable types of markers like Ohuhu or Copic, there's another one I can't remember. I think it's Art and Fly. I don't know about the Caran markers. And I don't think that the Sharpie markers have refills. But there's at least two I know for sure have refills. There's 3 different types of Copic. The Style, the Sketch, and Cycle Sketch. I don't remember that one. Oh, Classic. Classic, Copic, Style, Sketch. Style's the cheapest out of all the Copics. It still has refills. I don't know if there's a difference because I haven't really seen people compare 2 different type of Copic markers. I think I'm gonna call it Copic. No, I'm gonna call it Copic. Because if it's Japanese, the O should be an O sound, not A. And I is usually E sound. Kanji. Moto. Copic. Because they're not American, trying to think of the way that the vowels will sound. I believe that's closer to it. They're supposed to sound like Copic. I'm kind of whispering because it's nighttime. I've been gone all day, so I couldn't do any art. And I don't want to be super excited, super loud, and wake up the other person. I don't always sleep in a room by myself because of my disability. There's been a couple times I had to wake up kind of like almost yelling for help because either a limb didn't work right or had acid reflux and it was coming up fast. And I had to put something down and just kind of like go in a bag. So then that had to be cleaned up. And then I had to get something to eat to make it where the acid reflux wasn't so bad. GERD is not a fun thing to have. It's worse than just regular acid reflux because it tends to have acid come all the way up the throat, usually out, or sometimes up in the nose when you're sleeping at night. I've been sleeping propped up since I was 8, I think, maybe 10, somewhere between 8 and 10. So I don't sleep flat most of the time. Sometimes I manage it, but it's like I don't always know or remember which foods don't give me that effect. If I did, I'd probably have less of it, but at this time I'm supposed to have food stamps, and the re-eligibility is every 3 months in Arkansas, which I think is really dumb because it makes the few workers that we have work on ABT statewide, and I think it overtaxes them because you got a bunch of people trying to do it in 3 months. Thousands, a billion of people all over the state. And it tends to be if somebody can get someone else to do the work, they will. So a lot of the counties that are more closer to the major cities like Little Rock get stuck doing the whole state. In several cities, over 50 cities in one city, which is not fair, instead of each county doing their own. I think it was the dumbest thing that ever came up, and it was put in place by Asa. And poor Sarah Huckabee has to try to deal with all the mis-set up things, reorganize things, try to get things to function like we had it when we were younger, which in our state, I actually got to go to a college or high school event at a college that Governor Huckabee, at the time her dad was governor, and I met her, and she was very charismatic. She was easy to get along with. She's easy to talk with, and I felt I had a similar way of thinking, and I knew, and I told her, you would be a great governor one day. And sure enough, she's a governor. If I had realized the importance of what I said, I might have tried to get her autograph at her age, like the youngest autograph in all the world for a governor or politician back in their young days. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a bunch of the light color, which I think I'm not going to continue doing that, because if this area could suck this marker dry. So I think I'll just keep doing like this area and then do different colors to save my marker, because I do want, even though these are cheap markers and I've had them for a while, I do want to use them up, but not at this time. So anyways, when she became a runner-up as governor, I knew hands down that's who I would pick. And she's working really hard. She's working harder than any governor that I knew, because even her dad had it a little bit easier. He was a governor for years. I think it was 10 years, 8 to 10 years. He kept getting reelected until I guess he just didn't want to run. And most of us were sad when he was no longer governor. And I couldn't wait for another Huckabee to be in office. It's been kind of like one of those lights in a tunnel. Hope returning for the state, because the good things that happened in Arkansas when her dad was governor, it's almost unexplainable, because I took it for granted when I was younger. You don't really think about stuff like that. Somewhere between teens and being an adult. And now I see how rough things could be when you get a governor that doesn't try to do anything to improve the state. And it seemed like to me, the governor before Sarah Huckabee tried to let other people decide things for him. There wasn't a lot of interaction, a lot of conversation, or a lot of, I guess you could say, media about him and what he was doing for the state. But with Sarah, you hear all about it all the time. Most people didn't. They knew Asa, but most people didn't know. Most people knew there was a governor, Asa. Not very many people know his personality. So, it's like having a stranger in charge of your state, which is not a pleasant feeling. And then you see things falling apart. And he didn't make it easy to get a hold of him. Like with Sarah Huckabee, if you write her anything with her name on it, it's like she gets it. And she will reply. You will get a reply. And it's kind of strange to realize that she's in my age group. And I still can't believe that I actually got to meet her. I always wanted to meet Governor Huckabee, her dad. But I never expected to meet his daughter, who seemed to be following in his footsteps even when she was 17, 18 years old. That's when I met her. Somewhere between 17 and 19. I think she was the same age as me. I had just turned 18 after I graduated from high school. And we got to go to Girl State. That's it. 11th grade or 12th grade? I believe it was the last day of school. Not the last day, well, after school. Like the last week of school we were already picked, and we got set up for transport there. And they set up a bus to take us to Searcy, Arkansas. And we got to go to the Harding University, which I really, after my experience there, I really wanted to go there. I liked the food, I liked the atmosphere, I liked how the people that were in that environment had a similar type of personality, behavior. And you didn't have to worry about people really making fun of you or picking on you. Most of the time, people were trying to do their best. So that's all that mattered. I'm tempted to make an appearance of the texture that I've seen on trees in this area. And it's like gray and brown were mixed together. And there was these raised areas. They were kind of shaped like this. Different sizes, different lengths. Which is why sometimes people probably draw the little lines on the trees, because they see trees that had like the raised bark. And the higher up the tree, the more you see these. It gets rougher and rougher toward the top, and then it smooths out all of a sudden just before the very top of the tree. It gets smooth again where the branches are. Getting tired of sitting in this chair. It's not very soft, so I'm getting ready to close out for now. At least you can see where I'm going with what I'm doing. I guess I should do some of these lighter, because it won't show where the light is if they're all the same color. I need a lighter gray. I guess now I should like go for like a white to lighten that. Or let me try the colors blender. Overlapping these, make it look darker, so I can't really use that in there. I can do paint though. I can do gray paint, acrylic, and it will let me put the color of it. And put this down here to remind me to do light gray. Okay, light gray. I'm gonna try my colors blender. One moment. I haven't had like a lot of practice with it, but I do know it lightens the marker. It's pretty good. That's what I wanted to do. Much better. I could actually do that around it to show even more light effect. Guess I'll try it. This is going to be painted over. It's not too big of a deal to have it streaked like that. Try to make it a circular shape around it. Right around here. It should really be light. Because right up against her when she's glowing, it should be much more light on the tree. lighten it up. Then I'll be painting over it. Kind of make her oval white instead of perfectly round white. Now I have it marked out on the tree what it's going to look like. Alright. That's going to turn into a place where I paint.